Hi there, Claire Winslow here to show you some experimenting with the gel plate. Sometimes I like to just try new things with new materials, and today I'm going to be testing the gel plate with some laser powdered toner that I got off the internet, and a brush and some stencils. And if you like testing and you're rather fearless, I hope you enjoy this video. If you're more of a beginner to gel printing, you might want to check out my other videos where I outline the basics. But if you've had some experience and you enjoy testing new things, please come along with me on this journey while I test some stuff. So the laser toner, I'll put that in the description. It was relatively inexpensive, and I'm expecting it to act kind of like graphite powder, but I don't know. So this is the very first time you are seeing me use this. I've never done it before. I don't know how it's going to work exactly, but this is my new motto, is to be brave with materials. Now I'm being cautious because it's powder. I'm, just sprinkling it carefully onto a dish. Later in the video I get a little bit looser with it, but for now I'd rather not have it all over my room. So I'm being, kind of careful with how much I put out there. So you can use a soft brush to simply apply this to the plate, I've discovered. And you can make a variety of grays down to really dark black or really light gray, depending on how much you put on the plate. And at this moment of recording, I have no idea whether I'm going to be able to transfer this onto a piece of paper. I'm hoping I will, with some acrylic paint. That's the idea. That's a beautiful series of grays, all from this laser powder toner. And I will show you the result of that in a second. I tried a few times here, now maybe a little bit more gray and a little bit less powdery. So it's up to you. Practice this and see if you like it. It's kind of an inexpensive way to test out a lot of monochrome. And here I'm just trying for more unevenness, so it's not all the same. And then we'll print with that. You can ignore the red on the right. That I did not include my Aqua ink tests in this video. But boy, the stencil sure is pretty. All right, not thinking too much about the color, I just grabbed some blue out of the tube. And I can already see it's a little bit dark, so we probably won't get a very contrasty image with this. But I'm just testing to see if I can in fact pull up the black onto a piece of paper using the blue. I'm thinking it's a little bit thick, which is why I go back in now with the brayer and just try to make that a little bit thinner. Because sometimes the transfer will be a little bit better with thinner acrylic. So let's see what we get. I do not know what's going to happen here. All right, and I hope you are willing to experiment too. The paper that I'm using is a smooth cardstock. I believe I'm not using copy paper here because I think it's too thin. All right, I got some of it, but not all. That's good to know that that works. I might try a lighter color next time, but this is good information. How about a titanium white, kind of a buff color? Let's see if we can pull up the rest of what remains on the plate here. This color is a little bit thick, so we might want to thin that a bit and print it. And I could see, oh, I got some residue of pink from my Aqua inks. Well, that's kind of pretty. All right, I kind of like that broken up effect, Let's try it again. This time maybe a little more gray. Now I'm just dropping the powder on here, trying to see if, just how well it works with more powder or less powder, basically. Going for sort of a delicate image and kind of uneven grays. And let's see what happens when we print this. Okay, same color. By the way, if you're enjoying these videos, please take a second to push the subscribe button. I would love to do this really large and see, oh, okay, so What's cool about this is you've got like the powdery residue sort of floating all around that, and I kind of like that. It's a bit of a grunge look. And I even like the broken up feather. All right, here's a real challenge, and that is a more complex stencil. It's got really thin lines. I don't know what's going to happen here because I suspect the powder might not do so well with these really skinny lines, but let's see what happens. Maybe I'll even apply some moisture to the plate. You could spray water on it just to see what that does. You can even mix a little glycerin into the powder, and that makes it into more of a translucent paint-like substance. And I think that's what I do here. Just experimenting again. No outcome predicted. All right, I keep going with that. So now it's more like paint. Well, this is pretty. I don't know if the print will be as pretty, but I like what's on the plate anyway. Okay, we're trying for some blue and buff. I can see that these paints are rather thick, and the thicker they are, the more I might move the powder. So we'll see what happens. I suspect we won't get kind of a perfect print, but we might get an interesting image. And that's really kind of what I'm more concerned with here today. Yeah, okay, so this is less about like getting a flawless print and more about probably getting a background image or something that you can print on top of later. And so that's good too, you know? All right, what else can we do here? Let me see. Back to the feather again, but this time with a circular plate. And the reason I switched to those is because sometimes I like the challenge of trying to compose something on a circle, which is different from a rectangle. This time I'm spraying some water on it to see what that does. Maybe give me a little more texture. And now I've gotten a little looser with my powder, and I'm just sprinkling it directly from the bottle, not being as cautious anymore. But obviously, you know, you don't want to breathe this in. It's not toxic as far as I know. I did look it up on the internet. It's not toxic, but you just want to be careful. It doesn't seem to want to float everywhere. It's pretty heavy and thick, this type of powder. So let's try running off the same image off of the edges of the circle, which I often like to do. And I guess I got excited here because I'm starting to use my fingers. I don't know if I recommend that or not, but it works. I guess I want to match up the middle feather a little bit closer to what I have on the left. So I think I want to add some more black, and that means repositioning the stencil. Okay, and then how about one more right on the right? This time it's a little softer and brushier. We'll just run that off the edge and print that. Okay. Yep. Let's see, this, we might have moved the powder a little bit, but like I said, we're just going to go for it. Okay, so I can see it did, you know, smudge a little bit on the center. Interesting, the left side did not. So that says to me that if you keep a light hand and maybe don't apply quite so much powder, you'll get a crisper image. This is another experiment, much more painterly and sort of letting it get smudgy on purpose. And that could also be a great background for something. So as you can see, the more grunge, if you like grunge, this is a good technique for you. And don't be afraid to then add to these once they're dry. You know, you can add a completely different element. So this one I actually touched up the left and added a little more titanium and then added some blue.